road trippers, and how is everybody? I hope you're all doing really good. So today I've got a few things I want to talk about. At first, I didn't think I would have anything to talk about, but now I watched the news last night and saw an interesting segment, a little short segment about car rental stuff, and then I just got a text from Uber about a change, which if you're in Chicago, it's only affecting you and it's not affecting anybody else. And I want to talk a little bit, I think, about drive-away driving, because Ray had a few questions that I think I could answer, or it was drive-away, tow-away stuff. I've got to look them back up and make sure I get the questions. He and I had a kind of a long conversation earlier today. And anyway, we got to get to the intro. Come on, man. Got to do the intro. So, what's this? Oh, look at that. Oh, I did do a timed thing. Anyway, what was I going to... Oh, first let's talk about the car rental thing. So last night I was watching the news, and I saw this car rental thingy, and they were talking about the... like this, the media in the cars, where you can sync your... Or not sync, but you can connect your Bluetooth to this thing, and you can listen to the radio or listen to your music. You can have answer your phone and all that on the car, in a rental car. Well, the big problem, that's awesome. That's an awesome thing to be able to do that, because then you have all this fantastic stuff. You can have hands-free talking, or hands-free operation. You can listen to your own music. You don't have to listen to radio, and it's really kind of nice. But there's a little caveat here. The problem is that information, your phone is completely synced to the radio in that rental car that goes away from you after a certain amount of time, whether it's a day or a week or a month. But after that, if you don't delete your phone from that system, your information stays on there. Now, granted, a lot of people don't really know what to do with that, or how to access it, or what they're going to do with it. But there are hackers out there that can figure stuff out and get personal information, including your contacts. So if you have stuff like that that's been synced with that thing, you need to make sure they're gone. And quite honestly, it's not too difficult, because you just go through the settings and delete your phone and make sure it deletes everything out of there. And if you're using the GPS of that system, make sure you delete all history of where you've been, because if you don't, then they may actually see where you stayed, or if you're using it at home, where your house is. Or they might see something of, if you're visiting relatives, they might see where their house is. If it's no big deal where you went and it's just a bunch of touristy places, who cares if they see where you went? So you want to make sure that you check out the settings. Each system is a little different, but check out settings to delete history, to delete any of the contact information that was connected with your phone, or anything that's connected to your phone. Just go into the settings, delete all of that information, but make sure you do it. And if you have to look up on the internet how to do it for that specific phone or for that specific car, I highly recommend doing that, because that can become a security issue just in the long run. It can become a problem, because it could be the next person who rents your car. It could be the people who work for the rental car company, which I doubt any of them are really going to have a problem with it. But it can be that type of an issue where you don't know who's going to rent your car next. Maybe it is a hacker. Maybe it's someone who just likes to play around. He's like, oh, look at this great information I have. So the moral of the story is, when you're using one of those entertainment centers or whatever in the car with your Bluetooth or even your USB cable, if it's synchronized any information to that system, make sure it is deleted before you turn that car in. Don't count on the rental car company doing it, because they don't have the time. So recommended that you really, really do that as soon as or just right before you turn in the car, or on your way to turn in the car. So that's what I have for rental information. I think that's kind of a big deal, because it can become a problem, and if we do it, talk about it now and get that done and over with, and people start just religiously and get into the habit of doing that, then there won't be so much of a problem. Excuse me. Now, what I would also like to talk about, again, I'm not trying to turn this into an Uber channel. I'm going to talk more about Driveaway here in just a minute. and towaway and basically the trucking industry and the transportation industry. Unless you guys chat and you want to talk about something else, the chat is open. I'm open to suggestions. But right now, a little quick thing. Uber, I saw this yesterday. They sent out an email, and then I just recently got a text because it started at 9 o'clock today. And again, this is for Chicago. If you're a driver in Chicago, they have changed the staging lots. I mean, you should already know this. If you drive often, you should already know this. They've changed the pickup or the staging lots for both O'Hare and Midway. Now O'Hare, that one is closer to the mall, to the Rosemont Fashion Outlet Mall. Now the one in Midway, when I watched the video, it didn't say a different place to go, so I don't really know where that's at yet. But make sure you talk to or look at the video or whatever Uber is sending you, and you go to the proper place. And I noticed, like yesterday, it was packed at the O'Hare staging lot. I hope this new lot is bigger and it's better, because I don't like this other lot. The police would come around regularly and get people out of the spots that they're not supposed to be parked in, which sometimes is a good thing, but sometimes, I mean, that lot was so small that sometimes you didn't have a choice. It was either that or drive around and create a big traffic jam between, in the lot. It was just, if you've been there, you know what I mean. It was just a nightmare. But the police would come around making sure you were parked in the right spot. They would just come around and hit their sirens and whatnot. It's like, I wanted to tell them, it's like, you realize that you are creating a problem that's bigger than them parking in a little bit of a different spot, because where we're parked is nowhere near other people. It's only Uber people and Lyft people. So that was the second thing I wanted to talk about with Uber. Feel free to comment, blah, 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 talk about anything travel related, Uber, Driveaway, car rental, whatever. I'm open to hear whatever you want. I run these for about 30 minutes. We're about 6 minutes into it. I am watching the chat. I do see the Twitter. So if you want to use Twitter, you use the hashtag Let's Talk Travel, and I'll see it pop up. And I see we do have 2 people on here, and I believe one just went away. I bet you the one person is Ray. Hi, Ray. So a little bit about let's see, Driveway. See, let me look at the things that Ray and I were talking about this morning. As you're going to be hearing some clicking and whatnot, because I've got to get over to my messages area. Like I said, we had a long conversation. He was talking about the when you're haul one, tow one is one way, or hauling multiple RV trailers. You're not going to haul motorhomes this way, but hauling multiple trailers or campers at one time. What's the pay? How does that work? Well, with Horizon, the way it works is, the first trailer you get paid full rate. The second trailer you get paid half the rate. The third trailer you get full rate. Fourth trailer you get half rate. And yes, you can pull 4 trailers, but they're the little itty bitty ones. They're like I don't even know what they're called. They're tiny, that you could pull behind a Volkswagen Bug. So they're really small. So you can't haul 4 of those. So I think the best, and what Ray had said, is something about some specific drivers that haul a couple trailers all the time, and they're making 6 figures. I'm sure that he's not wrong. I'm sure that Horizon says this. I'm also sure that is a lot of work. I'm not dying. Hey, Ray, what's up? Surf's up, dude. glad you can make it. I knew you were going to be here because you told me. Anyway, so I'm sure you can make this money. I'm sure you got to work for it, which that's kind of how it works. If you want to make money, you work for it. I just don't know how hard you got to work for it. I mean, I know it's going to be legal, because Horizon's never going to push you to be illegal. They're always going to make sure you can easily keep a safe log, and that you're not driving in an unsafe manner. That's their big key thing. So my personal opinion is to haul 3, because then you get 1, 1.5, and then 1, and screw that little 4th one, because usually when you got 4 small trailers, the pay probably isn't that good anyway. So, but I don't know, because do what Horizon drivers, if they're doing it and they're making that, listen to what they're saying, because they're the ones doing it. I never did the haul one, tow one. I only hauled a camper, and that's all I ever did with Horizon. Sorry, I worked for another company for 2 years a long time ago, and I keep wanting to say their name. And it's actually when Horizon started is when I was driving, and I'd heard of them. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a neat company, but I was still working for someone else, and I got out of it. There was something else that Ray and I were talking about. Could you tell me, dude? Something about. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. Let me pull this up again. Oh, you were talking about Washington here, but I wanted to talk about the return trip, car versus truck. Okay, we can talk about that in just a second, but what I wanted to talk about was driving in the winter. I want to talk a little bit about driving in the winter. Most drivers will tell you when it gets really crappy out, pull over and just sit and wait it out, which is the best, safest, best idea ever. The problem with that is that you will not get paid for stopping. They don't pay for weather-related delays. They pay for mechanical delays, depending on the company who's paying them. If it's like a warranty issue or whatever, that's a different story. We're only talking weather. As far as having chains, if you're in Driveaway, you are not allowed to put any chains on those vehicles, period. If you're doing pickup, like I was doing, towaway, with just one trailer, you're not allowed to put chains on the trailer because drivers have screwed it up and really messed up some trailers, and you shouldn't be driving in that weather anyway. Really should not be. Now, and I believe it's Oregon, has a law where you have to have chains that fit your vehicle. So you don't have to be, you have, in bad weather, they actually say chains required in some passes, and you have to do it. Now, you at least have to have the chains in the vehicle. Now, what I recommend is buy a set of chains from Walmart, put them in there, and then whenever it gets crappy weather, go take a rest. Don't drive down the road. Okay. Oh, I will get to that in just a second, Ray. So the snow, it is a double-edged sword, but seriously, don't drive in bad weather. Just don't. It's not worth it. You may lose a little bit of money, but you will be alive. I would rather be alive than not, because it's kind of a big deal for me. I like to be alive. Do you? I hope so. And that's the biggest thing. Safety is the biggest thing when driving. Okay, and if it's bad weather, bad roads, whatever, whether it's snow, rain, ice, sleet, well, especially if it's ice and sleet and snow, if it's bad enough, heavy winds, don't drive in heavy winds. That's a scary thing. I've done it and I don't like it. And the reason I had to do it was because they hit me really fast, and then I got to a safe place and pulled off and stayed until they calmed down. And always in a heavy wind, face your RV or vehicle into the wind so that it's not going like this and then like that. So you always face it into the wind, in case you didn't know that. Horizon teaches all of this stuff in their class. They want you to know these things. Now, let's talk about returning trips. Let's say you are in a Driveaway, okay, and you tow your car. Let's say you tow a car, and you got a Driveaway, and you go all the way to LA from Indiana. Okay, so it's 2,200 miles to get there, and you're like pushing your hours on your logbook. You hit your 70-hour max. And you're like, oh crap, now I got to drive all the way home or drive to the next run or whatever. You can drive 500 hours straight in your car. It doesn't matter. It's not a commercial vehicle. Your car is not a commercial vehicle. When you are towing, even if you're towing, when you are driving your car, it is not logged. In the pickup towaway division, it's a gray area. It's an issue. Okay, you are in a 1 ton. You're supposed to log your trip dry or empty or loaded, no matter what. In a 3/4 ton, it depends on the officer who's pulling you over. Technically, you can pull, because the Horizons, and most of them have like magnetic signs that go on the side of your truck. You can just pull those off, and you're not a commercial vehicle. In a 1 ton, you're supposed to have it permanently affixed, so you have to show that you're a vehicle, and you have to go through the weigh stations even when you're unloaded. In a 3/4 ton, you don't have to, and I would recommend that you take off your magnets, your signage. That's what it's called, your signage, and just drive it. But if you get a DOT officer that gets picky and says, hey, I see you were in California yesterday, you're picking up a load in Texas this morning, how'd you get this truck from A to B and you're not logging? So if you get the DOT officer that wants to be picky, because that's a hell of a drive between California and Texas. He's not stupid. He knows you drove. But, if he wants to get crappy about it, he can shut you down. So you got to be very careful. Don't be driving like an idiot, but don't give them a reason to pull you over. But you got to be very careful, and you have to decide on your own. And I'm not going to tell you what I did, but you have to decide on your own whether you're willing to take that risk. You can talk to some other drivers and see what they've said. I really, you should technically, if you want to always be safe, always log all the miles you drive. You're not going to make as much money unless you get trip after trip after trip, and you don't have to drive more than maybe a couple hundred miles to your next trip. So you really have to be careful about that. And I hope that answered your question about the 11-hour limit, Ray, because when you're in your tow car, you're not a commercial vehicle. You can drive 24 hours straight if you can physically do it. If you are tired, don't do it. Very simple. Like I said before, driving this is not worth your life. It's just not. Your life is more important. Your family would like to keep you around. So definitely be careful. There's a good point, Ray. When you take off your magnets, your license plate does still say commercial, depending on the state you're in. Like in Indiana, I think it says rated at 26,000 or 20 whatever, which does technically, well, you can't because you don't have air brakes. It'll say like 15,000 or 20,000 rated on your plate, or I forget what it says, or 10,000. I forget what it says. It doesn't say commercial vehicle. If your truck says commercial vehicle anywhere on it, you have to log it no matter what. End of story. Unless you want to risk getting pulled over and shut down. And that is your choice. And I know people that go both ways. I know people that do one. I know people that do the other. And they both have good stories. But I know people that do the not logging thing and have some bad stories. And they get shut down for a day or 8 hours or whatever the DOT says. And they also get fined. You can get some fines depending on how bad the DOT officer wants to be. If he's having a crappy day, you're going to have a crappy day. I don't know if you know that. Now, and some companies, when you get DOT'd and you pass, you'll get a bonus. And if you get DOT'd and don't pass, you get in trouble. I know Horizons, you kind of get like a little nick on your record saying he didn't pass his DOT. Just make sure you pass your DOT tests when you get stopped. Because I was stopped once when I was doing a truck, doing a towaway, and it was in Ohio. I had literally just left I just started the morning. I was literally 30 minutes into my trip, and I just had some coffee. I had to stop at the rest area. The police officer followed me to the rest area, and he pulled me over and he says, "We're just going to do a DOT inspection." I'm like, "Okay." And here's the funny part. I wasn't even thinking. We got parked, and I pull out my logbook and I put, "Okay, I'm stopped DOT." And he comes up to me and says, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, because you don't want to touch your logbook. You don't want to touch anything when they come because they're thinking you're faking something." And I just had to show them I just logging my stop. Yeah, like a wife. You're bad, Ray. So I just showed him. I'm like, I just logging this specific stop because I was caught up on my logbook, which sometimes I wasn't, but I wasn't more than half a day. Usually I would do a stop, and sometimes I'd forget that I started. I forget to log the start that I just started back up. So. And now they have the electronic stuff. And yes, in Horizon, they do make you do electronic stuff, so you have to have a laptop that can do it, which is not, just about any reasonable laptop can do it, even a $500 one. I've got a $500 one I bought 2 years ago, and it works just fine. So, I'm still giggling about your little comment there about the wife. So that's really my thing. With DOT, it's all about respect. If you respect them, they'll respect you. If he's having a crappy day, though, I'm gonna tell you, some of them can make your day horrible. And I personally have not had any problems with DOT officers when I'm at way stations or getting pulled over. And I only got pulled over that one time. I only did tow away for about 3 months because I just realized it wasn't for me. And it's a lot of people make a lot of money with it, but I don't like it. But anytime that I got stopped or pulled over, even when I was driving tour buses up in Alaska, we got DOT'd a couple times, and if you show them respect, they'll show you respect. I mean, you just say, hey, yes, sir, da-da-da. Don't be scared. Most of them are just normal people. They're not there to arrest you. Now, if you look scared and you're nervous, they're going to be like, what's wrong? And they're going to look at you a little closer. So just, if you have nothing to hide, don't even worry about it. You know, if he's in a really crabby mood, then he's going to find something, because they can always find something. Just chill out, relax, and let him do his thing. And if he asks you to do it, just answer his questions as short as you can. Do not offer any information. If they say, did you just start? Yes. Don't tell them you just started 20 minutes ago. Just say, yes, I just got going. That's all. Don't offer them anything that they don't ask for. Sorry, my nose is a little itchy. It's been kind of itchy lately. So that's kind of what I am with the DOT stops. What more information you need? We got about another 10 minutes, and then I'm going to get out of here. I got to go pick up my niece at Union Station. Does anybody know if there's? I've got to hold 2 people on here. Anybody from the Chicago area know what the new Midway staging lot is? Because I didn't see what it was. I know the new O'Hare one. I might go check it out later today. Yes, you have to stop no matter what, unless it says no RVs or no motorhomes. If it says all commercial vehicles, you are a commercial vehicle. You stop at a way station. Way stations are critical. You always stop. And with Horizon paperwork, they're going to tell you exactly which ones you need to buy permits for. They're even going to give you instructions on how to buy the permits. Like in Idaho, you have to call ahead. Nevada, you got to call ahead. Basically, you get to pay for the privilege to drive through their state, because that's how they make money. Now with New Mexico and Arizona, you'll stop at their way stations and they'll charge you $10 or $15 or $25, whatever, and you pay it and then you continue, and you get reimbursed for all permits and tolls. So everything you have to pay to get that is related to the vehicle transportation, tolls besides gas. You don't get reimbursed for gas, but tolls and licensing and permits and all this other stuff. If there's anything you have to pay for that RV, you get reimbursed. And yeah, way stations, I don't think you have to stop in Illinois. Indiana, no, we don't stop in Indiana, but I know Wyoming, and you have to have a Wyoming plate. I think that may have changed. I think that changed. I know Minnesota, you used to have a plate, a Minnesota plate. You'd stop right at the state line, put the plate on, and then drive through the state, and then at the other side of the state, you pull the plate off and put your other plate on. And the same with Wyoming. It's an annoyance. You can't put it in the window. Well, you can, and some people do, and they get away with it. But legally, that's not what they want. They want that thing fixed to the motorhome. And even if you're doing tow away, they want that. Now, if you're on I don't know if you're pulling on a trailer on a trailer. I'm not really sure what the rule is, but I know that even when I was pulling campers with my pickup truck, I had to have the Wyoming plate affixed to the camper. I couldn't put it in the window, couldn't do any of that. It had to be affixed. And again, that comes back down to, even when you're not loaded, when you're not loaded, no, because that's the trailer plate. That's the plate for the trailer. If you're pulling just a camper, the haul one, tow one, I imagine the back trailer, if the back trailer's tires are on the ground, that's what needs a plate. Whoever's tires are on the ground, that's got the load. Like in an RV, if you're driving a motorhome, the motorhome has to have the plate on it. If you're in a pickup truck pulling the camper has to have the plate on it. If you're in a truck, like a hot shot with a long trailer that has stuff on it, then the trailer that holds the stuff is the plate that matters. The other trailers won't have plates. So and these are things that you can ask with your dispatcher too, and they will tell you exactly what they need. And if your dispatcher is getting grumpy with you, then say, maybe you need to talk to another dispatcher, quite honestly, because I don't like it when dispatchers get grumpy with you. Like I said, my pickup dispatcher he and I didn't get along too well, which was kind of sad. It bothers me, but my Driveaway dispatcher and I did really well. Now, if my pickup dispatcher and I got along better, I probably would have been doing it a lot longer. But he really put a sour note in my book. So, c'est la vie. Yeah, so that's kind of how the plating works. With RVs, they have a paper sign that you put in the windows for your signage for your DOT numbers, and you just do the best you can. Make sure they're not in your view, and like you don't put them in the side window right here, so like you can't see out the side window. That's a bad idea. Usually, you'll find a place on the Class C. I'll put them up in the upper windows. All different kind of places. You just get creative with it, and as long as they are visible to the officers, that's what matters, and they're apparent. Sometimes you have tinted windows. You just do the best you can. Some people get the safe tape. I don't know really what it's called. It's kind of like a masking tape that doesn't take the paint off the vehicle, and they actually tape it to the outside. Oh, for the way stations, just a second. Sometimes they tape the signage to the outside of the door or something like that, but you have got to make sure you use tape that does not leave a mark or does not pull off paint or decals or anything, because then you're going to pay for damage on that vehicle. So, way stations, even when you're not loaded. In your car, again, nope, you're not a commercial vehicle. In a pickup truck, 3/4 ton, if you have no insignia and your plate doesn't say commercial, you're not a commercial vehicle. If anything on your truck says you're a commercial vehicle and they say loaded only, or if it says no empty, then you don't. But if it says loaded, or if it says all commercial vehicles and there's insignia on your vehicle that says you're a commercial vehicle, yes, you stop. Yes, if you're not loaded, yes. If it says anything on your truck that it says you are a commercial vehicle, yes, you go in. If you're like a hotshot, you have a trailer and you're not loaded, yes, you go in, definitely, because you are a commercial vehicle at that point, and you're still logging your hours, because you log empty hours on a hotshot because you're still driving a commercial vehicle. So yeah, these are really good questions, by the way, and this all goes to the fact that you just have to think to yourself, am I right now a commercial vehicle? If the answer is yes, you go into the way stations. If no, you don't. And how do I decide whether I'm a commercial vehicle? That's the important part. If there's anything on your vehicle that says you are a commercial vehicle, yes, you pull in. You will usually just get waved on by, but don't blow past this way stations. Again, I know people who do that with hotshots and with other vehicles, and I've seen it done, and nothing happens. But you don't know if it's because the police didn't see him, if they know for a fact that guy, he comes through all the time and they just know him and they know he's legal and he blows through even if he's not legal, whatever. You just don't know the situation, so don't follow what other people do. Follow your gut. Unless the police officer or the DOT officer says don't bother, go in. I mean, if you're ever in doubt, go into the way station. If you ever I'm not sure if I should go. Because that way, if they just flag you through, you're going to blow right through. If you have to stop and pay a permit or whatever, then you do. So that's how that'll work. So you want to do what your gut says. Always do the right thing. And it sounds like, Ray, you always want to do the right thing. So that's good. And you're a hard worker, and you want to make sure that you're looking at doing this as a career and being the best you can, which is what I appreciate, because I appreciate drivers who want to do the best they can and do it as safe as they can and legal. Legal is my big thing. I hate people who drive illegal, and I've come across them. I've come across many people where they're keeping 2 and 3 logbooks and they're driving all kinds of crazy hours, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm fine." I'm like, "No, you're not. You're risking my life, your life, and other people's lives, and I don't appreciate that." So I'm all about the safety. And hey, good. Oh, by the way, I noticed that my microphone was I cut off yesterday. Oh, I fixed that problem. I don't have that anymore. Oh, look, we got 3 people now, and I'm almost done. That always happens. I get almost done, and more people show up. So maybe I need to do these a whole lot longer. No, 30 minutes is a good time. I don't want to talk more than 30 minutes. Unless I can get a guest on, I'm not going to sit here and talk for 30 minutes. And I have yet to figure out how to do a guest with this software. So I know there's a way to do it, but I'm not going to mess around with it right now because I have other things to do. Any quick questions before, and I mean quick, any quick questions before I get going here? I've got just a couple. Well, actually, I have less than a minute. I want to get out of here pretty quick. I'd like to say hi to everybody. I hope the other two people watching at the moment got a little bit of something out of it. You can go back to the beginning of the video and check out what I said about the car rentals and what it is. It basically pertains. The car rentals pertains to using the media inside the rental car and some issues with identity theft that you may want to look at. So kind of look into that. And that was the beginning of the video. About 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes into the video, we talked a little bit about the new Uber staging locations in Chicago for O'Hare and Midway. They just started that today at half an hour ago, so at 9 o'clock, and that's when I got my text and I got the notification yesterday. And the rest of this time we've been talking a little bit about Driveway and Towaway and weather and different little things. So that's kind of what this video entailed. What I do want to do is I want to pop up my little end card right here. Check it out. Ooh. So if you want to help support the channel, hit the subscribe button. I think I've got a fan funding link in there too. I'm just kind of pushing that a little bit. These take my time, and I would really like to be able to do this a little bit more regularly. And the only way I can do that is if I get support. Don't forget, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram if you want. The Periscope one, I'm not on that very much anymore. I haven't been on that in about a year. Got other videos you can check out where I went to China. I got the Terracotta Warriors. I did a lot of things in China. My wife is Chinese, in case you didn't know that, and I visited her. We've got the car rental video that I have. That's like my big viral video that I have for my channel. It's kind of interesting that it went viral because it's one of the more boring videos I've ever done. And then we got the top 5 strangest U.S. monuments around the country, and one of them is actually here in Chicago. You'll have to check that one out. And what else do I have? I think that's about it. Ray, again, thanks for being such a regular, because I do appreciate that. That's been fantastic that you come. You've always got great questions. Ray is also, he and I have 2 things in common. He's an Uber driver, and he wants to be a Driveway driver. Okay, so I'm giving him information on the Driveway, and he helps, he gives me some information about the San Jose market for Uber, and apparently you don't make a lot of money in San Jose, which kind of sucks, but come to Chicago, you can make a living. It's who knows with the self-driving cars. Maybe we'll talk about self-driving cars tomorrow. Well, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see about that. And don't forget, Thursday I'm not going to be here because I am going to be doing a Chicago City tour for a friend of mine. I'm actually leading the tour. I used to do tours. Look back on my videos. You'll see some of that too. Anyway, I think that's all I've got for now. It's been a couple 32 minutes here, almost 33. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day. And until next time, safe travels.